given in tribute to me.
What's up, everybody? So I'm gonna give my review of Peter Pan and Wendy and go over my thoughts, and then after I kind of like give it my review, we'll jump in and watch the Critical Drinkers video. I tried to go in with an open mind and not hate it from the jump, which is really hard because it's really hard to do, because they purposely, I guarantee you, they're like, oh, we want them to hate it, because then it's a twofold. It acts as a controversy to give us free buzz, right? Gives us free buzz, and also it is propaganda that we can then point to, like, oh, look at their, that proves, look at their, their R-worded, etc., etc. Anyways, it is straight up propaganda, though. There were certain aspects that I could not get over the entire movie. Like, for example, before I get into that, I'll say that I quickly got over, like, listen, I think it's really dumb that they changed Tinkerbell into a black girl. I think that's really, really dumb. Like, extremely dumb that they did that. But I quickly got over it for two reasons. Number one, Tinkerbell is really small and she's always far away. Well, she's not far away, but she's really small, so she's always like barely noticeable. Plus, even though she was black, she still glowed. Yellow, right? So it wasn't that distracting. Like, the entire part of the casting process in movies and TV shows, like back in the day, not these days, but back in the day, they used to be very delicate with the casting process, because part of the reason it's so important to cast the right person is because you want someone to be appropriately casted, so that way it allows the viewer to more easily, in the audience, to more easily suspend their disbelief, right? You want your audience to get immersed and suspend their disbelief and enter this world, right? You don't want them just to be fixated on one thing that's really standing out to them the entire time. Like, so but my point is, this casting goes against all of that. It goes against all of that. So I got over the Tinkerbell thing, but what I didn't get over is Peter Pan. I did not get over Peter Pan the entire movie. The entire movie, I felt like I was watching The Jungle Book. I mean, they literally cast Mowgli as Peter Pan. What's next? Are we gonna cast, are we gonna have a fair trade-off in the next Jungle Book movie they make? We're gonna have a white kid as Mowgli. It just was completely dumb. He did not look like Peter Pan at all. He was wearing the outfit, kind of. The outfit was kind of there was problems with the outfit too. He was wearing an outfit, but it was more like Mowgli cosplaying as Peter Pan than it was Peter Pan. If I had to rank the film adaptations of all of the Peter Pans, I would say that both animated and live action, I would say that number one would be the 1950, what was it, 1953? I know it came out like right around when my dad was born. I don't know, it's like 1952 or 1953. Peter Pan, this original Disney film. That redheaded Peter Pan version was really good. And then second would be Jeremy Sumpter's 2003 portrayal. And then after that would be, I think the portrayal in Once Upon a Time was really good, even though that was a evil. Well, you can argue that Peter Pan's always kind of evil, but I thought that was a good. He at least looked like he was supposed to look like, even if there was huge interpretation plot twists with that version of the character. And then for funsies, Robin Williams, and the Hugh Jackman Pan movie wasn't all that bad either. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's like Hugh Jackman plays the villain who's like the precursor to Peter Pan and Hook taking over the island. It was an interesting prequel, like showing how Peter Pan became Peter Pan. There's a bunch of different interpretations of how Peter Pan became Peter Pan and how Hook became Captain Hook. And that's all fine and dandy. You can have all your interpretations all over the place. The problem is, this movie is supposed to be the book, Peter Pan and Wendy, which is as closely tied, which is to the original 1950 film, animated film, right? Now the animated film didn't have everything in it, but it had the meat and potatoes, like the meat and potatoes aspects. It didn't have everything from the book in it, but it had the meat and potatoes. It didn't just make stuff up, right? So my problem with this movie is, like, if it were its own thing, if it were its own interpretation, that would be one thing. But it's not. It's supposed to be Peter Pan and Wendy, and they completely butchered it. They had all of the set pieces that has always been in the story. All of the set pieces that were supposed to be there were, well, that's not actually true, is they didn't have the clubhouse. They completely butchered the clubhouse, and just they're like, oh, it's not. They completely changed the clubhouse for like this broken down manor, and gave zero explanation. Like, just a random abandoned house. Like, what the heck? They completely, so I can't say they had all the set pieces. For the most part, they had all the set pieces. They had Jolly Roger, Skull Island, Neverland, Mermaid Lagoon, the Indians, London, of course. But they, like I said before, they changed everything. They had all the set pieces, but they just mixed and matched and had things completely jumbled out of order. There were so many problems, like the famous quote, "Boy, why are you crying?" They put that at the end of the movie instead of the beginning of the story. "Boy, why are you crying?" is supposed to be at the beginning of the story. And then another problem was, Wendy was too big. Like, she was way too big. She was like towered over all the other, she towered over Peter himself. And yes, in the original, she does tower over some of the younger Lost Boys, but she's not supposed to tower over Peter. So that insinuated that she was way older than him. Or at least a few years. So I found that odd. And then, not way older than him, but like 2 or 3 years, like. But that's not how it's supposed to be. And then also, Damon, lay down, dude, lay down. I closed the door. I asked you whether you wanted in or out before I started this. And you came in, you laid down, and now you're being a pain in the ass. Make up your mind, dude. Make up your mind where you want to be. Lay down. You're distracting this video. What, I need to put you in a crate when I make a video so I don't lose my train of thought? This is crazy, Damon. Crazy. I knew if I shut the door with you outside, you'd start whining and interrupt me, so I brought you in before I shut the door. And then oh man, you're a pain in the ass. So anyways, Tiger Lily, she was way older than she was supposed to be. Not only that, but she was way too self-sufficient. She's not supposed to be like this warrior who's capable to save herself. She didn't even get captured. Tiger Lily was supposed to be saved from Skull Island, and she didn't even get captured. It wasn't her getting saved. And also, they treated Tiger Lily as if she was part of the Lost Boys. She's not at all. She's not part of the Lost Boys. She's not part of the Lost Boys. And let's not even get into the fact that let's not even get into it's a whole other discussion. There should have the fact that there was Lost Girls mixed in with the Lost Boys is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. It defeats the whole symbolism of the original story. People just don't understand how important it is for there to be male-only spaces, right? They don't understand, and they don't respect how important it is for dudes to have dude-only spaces. And the same people that will try and argue, well, you gotta include girls. That's not nice. You gotta be nice. Be nice and include girls. Those are the same people that will then argue that it's perfectly okay to have a third of the gym be women only. Like, they'll refuse to have men only anything, right? But then a third of the gym, if there's a big, huge sectioned off section of the gym that's women only, they'll be perfectly cool with that. And like, oh yeah, we need our safe spaces. We need our women only spaces. Complete double standard. And then I think dudes need dude only spaces too. Because anyways, it disappoints. There's all sorts of other reasons why too, of why it just is a slap in the face to the symbolism of the original story of the Lost Boys. I mean, I could go on and on to reasons. Here's another one. 90% of homeless are dudes. Right? The ultimate form of lost boy would be a homeless person, right? Because every adult was once a boy, right? Or once a child, right? Every adult was once a kid. If 90% of homeless are dudes. So anyways, let's not even go down that path. That's a whole, I could go on and on. I mean, I could make this whole video about the absolute chicanery of the ruining the symbolism of the Lost Boys. So there was other stuff. Dang it. I try and be nice to him, but freaking, it's when I'm making a video, it's like, man, he distracts the heck out of me. And he's been in since I started this video, he's been in 3 different spots. And I got him situated before I started the video, so that way he wouldn't distract me. I was like, do you want to be outside? Do you want to come in? He came in, laid in the kitchen. And when I'm making the video, he left the kitchen, comes over here to the door that I just closed. Then he decides, oh, I'm gonna get on the couch. So it's like just distracting me. It's annoying. It's annoying. Dude's annoying. So anyways, the Lost Boys. I'm trying not to, like, there was some stuff I liked about the movie. The problem is the stuff that I liked, they just made up. So I liked the whole like backstory for Captain Hook that they made up, but the problem is that wasn't in the book. the book did used to hint at Lost Boys eventually becoming pirates, but it didn't have that whole backstory. And that's the funny thing too about the movie is right there. Man, there were so many problems with this movie, dude. I wanted to like it in the middle of the movie, in the middle of the movie. I was starting to like it. I was like, oh, you know, the problem is this isn't Peter Pan and Wendy. This is its own entire interpretation. But right as soon as I was starting to like it, they slapped me and was like, nope. Nope. Hold on. So right when Wendy starts to fly, Captain Hook is like, so he says like something like, oh, you have the boy's magic. And she says some cringe line that completely pulled me out of any like that I was having for it. Just some super feminist cringe line, anti-boy, anti-man, like type stuff. Like, no, it's not a power for any boy, like, or something like that. And then throughout the rest of the movie, Wendy proceeds to save the day 3 times. I counted 3 times that she stole the show and saves Peter. Which, anyways, I don't know. It was supposed to be Peter Pan and Wendy. See, now he's got to switch cushions. The funny thing is, if I were to sit right there, all right, any time of the day, he would decide that, oh yeah, I want to be there. That's where I want to be, right? But because I sit right there on that end cushion closest to the lamp, he always wants to sit in the spot that I'm sitting. Even when I am sitting there, if I like get up for a second, he'll try and steal my seat. Like, it's like, what are we gonna do? Play musical chairs, and then I come sit over here, and then you're gonna want to sit there instead? Like, what a butthead. Anyways, so at the end of the movie, I basically was like, okay, this was its own thing, but it's kind of like an amalgamation. If it were treated as an amalgamation spinoff, I'd have no problem with it. But because it's treated as the adaptation of the original, the book, right? They even titled it the book title instead of the original 1950 animated film title. So because it's that is why I have such a problem with it. Anyways, let's jump into this critical drinker video. This little bastard has made me rant so much and get distracted me so much. Now he's on the middle cushion. Now he switched cushions again. All right. Hold on. I need the video ready. You are really ruining the flow of this video, Damon. All right. All right.
I wondered what it would be like to take a beloved children's story that stood the test of time for more than 100 years, suck out all of the passion, creative energy, timeless wonder, and universal themes, and replace them with jarringly inappropriate 21st century identity politics, a bland cast of sterilized characters played by a series of tick boxes carefully chosen to appeal to modern audiences, and CGI that looks like it was rendered by a team of 4 minimum wage animators in their spare time at the weekends.
That is
well,
true.
Then you'll have a pretty good idea of what it's like to endure Watch Peter Pan and Wendy on Disney Plus. Or to give it a more accurate title, Wendy, Tiger Lily, Tinker Bell and the Lost Diverse Individuals, featuring special guest appearances from someone pretending to be Peter Pan. Honestly, this movie is
exactly what it was. It wasn't Peter Pan, it was adventure with diverse cast and 2 warrior princesses, which is not at all what the originals were at all. It's like, bro, Tiger Lily was kicking ass, and by the way, she wasn't even in the final ship scene. She wasn't even supposed to be there. She wasn't even supposed to be there. After they save her at Skull Rock, right? She goes back to the village. Even in the animated film and the book. And oh my, and also they didn't even include the part of the, oh my gosh, there's so many. You don't believe me, just go read the book. Go read the book and go watch the original animated film. Say, oh, I don't got time. Well, guess what? The original animated film is only an hour. It's only an hour.
Exactly the kind of pointless, soulless, shameless dog shit that makes me genuinely despair for the future of humanity. It's 2 hours of utter tedium with absolutely none of the charm, likability, energy,
where's
or
the
timeless
treehouse?
appeal
Where's
of the
the
animated
clubhouse?
film that was made 70 years ago. But honestly, what did you expect from a modern Disney remake of a classic story? It's not like they were gonna do something really crazy like stick to the source material or anything. Anyway, let's take down a couple of lines of fairy dust. Oh, yeah, that's the shit. And I'll see you in Neverland. Or as I like to call it, jail. So the movie begins in Victorian London with young Wendy Darling getting ready to head off to boarding school to become a proper lady. Wendy's not exactly enthusiastic about growing up and becoming a woman and wants to spend her days sword fighting with her brothers instead. And naturally she's the best sword fighter ever, because of course she has to be, because the film wants us to believe that she can take on an entire ship full of pirates at the climax. Because as we all know, battering a couple of young kids with a wooden sword is totally the same as taking on a dozen fully grown, battle-hardened men. Physics! Luckily for her, diverse Tinker Bell hears her wish and sprinkles her with fairy dust so that she and her brothers can go with Peter Pan to Neverland, where they never have to worry about growing up ever again. That's nice, but then they've only been there for like 3 minutes before they run into Captain Hook, who blows the shit out of them with a cannon. Now, I'm no expert on 18th century naval artillery, but I'm pretty sure an explosive impact like this at point blank range would have completely obliterated this entire group of children.
Here's the thing. To be fair, that's what always happens as soon as they get to Neverland. Even in the animated film and in the 2003 Jeremy Sumpter film. As soon as they get there, they land in the clouds, and then they get blasted with cannonballs. And then, because Wendy's not good at flying, she gets separated from them, and then Tinkerbell oh, that's another thing that they completely took out of this. That they completely removed is they took out the whole jealousy aspect in the book and in the original animated Disney 1952-53, the original animated 1950 film was Tinkerbell was jealous of Wendy like crazy because she wanted Peter for herself. She didn't want no girl around. Tinkerbell was super jealous. They completely removed that aspect. Not only was she super jealous, but I'm trying to remember the details. There was 2 different ways. Like Hook tries to poison Peter Pan, and she drinks the poison for Peter. She drinks the poison, and saves life. They removed that too. There's just so many things that they changed, or removed, and switched around, and altered entirely. There was something else.
The flying shrapnel alone would have turned this movie into the Omaha Beach scene from Saving Private Ryan. But whatever. They all magically survive and get split up, and Wendy just so happens to run into the diverse lost individuals. Not the lost boys, mind you, because that kind of exclusionary language has got no place in modern storytelling.
Lost boys.
But you're not all boys.
So?
But I guess it doesn't really matter.
Ugh. Yes, we get it. We're not supposed to care about the fact that you've just rewritten an integral part of the original story because the protagonist straight up tells us we're not supposed to care about it. Don't question it. Just clap like the mindless seals that you are. This is also where we get to
And
meet
the fucked up part is, most people are mindless. What does it matter, bro? It doesn't matter. Symbolism doesn't matter. We don't like to think about stuff because only things that affect me in my immediate vicinity, in my immediate microcosm, directly matters. Because I can't think on a macro level of how everything fits together, and then down the line on the macro level, it all eventually does affect you. And guess what? Stuff that people said doesn't matter a couple years ago are now directly affecting them on a micro level. Right? This is the problem with the vast majority of people, is they don't care about anything unless they feel it's affecting them directly, without realizing that everything is affecting you directly on a macro level. It's just dumb.
Tiger Lily, who for some reason is now the de facto leader of the diverse lost individuals. At least I assume she is, but she's got this weird habit of speaking to them in her native language, even though there's no indication that any of them can actually speak it, and she's fully capable of conversing in English anyway, so draw your own conclusions there. Actually, I kind of like the idea that none of them have got a fucking clue what she's talking about, but they're all too polite to call her out on it. It fits pretty well with the creative aesthetic of this movie now that I think about it. Anyway, the premise here is that Wendy's two brothers have been captured by Hook and his pirates, so a rescue mission is on the cards. And naturally, Wendy ends up doing most of the work. She saves Peter's life and even gives him a good old-fashioned bitch slap afterwards to assert dominance over him. This is a modern remake, in case you were wondering. So they go back to Peter Pan's hideout to regroup, and this is where we learn that Captain Hook was once a lost boy. Sorry, diverse lost individual, and Peter Pan's best friends. But then he got sad because he missed his mum or something, so he left Neverland to go and find her, but instead he got lost at sea and taken in by a group of pirates who raised him as one of their own. Sounds pretty nice to me, to be fair. But when he eventually returned to Neverland, he was all grown up, and so Peter did the sensible thing and cut his fucking hand off and fed it to a crocodile. Jesus, who's even supposed to be the antagonist of this movie? Then Wendy sings a lullaby to her brothers to make them pass out so that she can go back to being a girl boss, but the singing unfortunately alerts Captain Hook to their location. Now, you might think that being a former diverse lost individual himself, Hook would already know the location of Peter's hideout and probably make that his first target, but I guess that kind of logic has got no place in this movie. So there's another fight scene and Peter gets slashed with a sword and falls like 100 feet right through the fucking ground. Now, you might think that this would shatter all the bones in his body and pulverize his internal organs, but then Tiger Lily shows up and smears some magical bullshit herbs on him, and everything turns out to be just fine.
None of that.
What exactly is this movie? Black Panther?
None of that was in any of the book or the animated film.
Anyway, so Hook's now taken Wendy and the others prisoner and forces her to walk the plank, but then Wendy imagines all the girl boss things that she's going to do when she grows up, and that gives her the power to fly and save the day. Notice how none of these images revolve around family or children and actually end with her dying alone and unloved, probably surrounded by empty wine bottles and cats that will slowly devour her decomposing corpse. You know, it's funny how an upper-class Victorian girl's ideal of a perfect life corresponds almost.
That is true. That is true. Because the originals heavily revolved around Wendy's desire to grow up and have her own family. right? And they didn't have, in any of those flashes, she didn't see it, like, because she wants to grow up and become a mother herself. Right? She wants to grow up and become a mother herself, and that was part of the whole mythos. Is Peter Pan always falls in love with the lineage of Wendy Darling. He comes back, like, even in the sequel, Peter Pan 2, which was made many years later, and obviously, and it's not like canon or anything, but it's part of the. But even in the original, they said before he even met Wendy in the first place, they said this has happened many times before. This has happened many times before. He always comes, and he always meets new kids, and then he takes them, and then blah blah. But when he met Wendy, he always came back, and then he was like, okay, and then he takes her granddaughter, or her daughter, and then her granddaughter, and blah blah blah. So that's like the whole mythos is like the having the family of your own, right? But in the flashes, what he just showed was kind of, it happens quick. Those are quick flashes, so yeah, probably had to put it on slow mode.
Exactly to that of a 21st century Hollywood scriptwriter. Must be coincidence, I guess. So Wendy saves Peter's life yet again, and then Peter apologizes
Three
to
times.
Hook for being a total asshole.
It was
but
three
then Hook
times.
falls off the ship anyway because he's got no happy memories to help him fly, probably as a result of all the
And
childhood.
another thing that pissed me off about that scene is you could see Peter was having empathy for Hook, right? Peter was having empathy for Hook and wanted to save Hook. And but you could see a complete disdain from Wendy. She's like, I don't give a fuck about you. You're a dude. Like because you're a dude. I don't care. Die, dude. Die, bitch. Right? Die. That's basically the attitude. The attitude coming from Wendy, which is like, it's the contempt, the contempt for men. The contempt for men, the inherent contempt for men. What are you doing, bro? Why do you feel the need to frolic and roll around and be an asshole right now?
Trauma inflicted on him by Peter. Then Wendy takes all the lost boys back to her house in London and just dumps them on her parents like she expects them to deal with the situation now. What the fuck do you think they're gonna do with a bunch of strange kids dressed like...
That didn't happen in Peter Pan 1, but in Peter Pan 2 it did happen. In Peter Pan 2, the daughter of Wendy brings back all the Lost Boys.
Like circus freaks that have suddenly invaded their home. I'll give you a hint, young lady. It's probably going to involve a one-way trip to the nearest workhouse for them and a severe beating for you. Probably should have stayed in Neverland, to be honest. You know, it's become kind of a tragic meme at this point that any Disney remake of a classic animated movie is probably going to involve bending and bastardizing the story and characters to make them fit with the obnoxious rules of modern identity politics. But honestly, it's hard to think of any story that's been more brutally compromised than Peter Pan. First and foremost, there's the characters, starting off with Wendy. The original Wendy was a feminine, compassionate and nurturing kind of character, a maternal influence on the Lost Boys who slowly helped them remember everything they'd lost back in the real world and realised that growing up is a natural and positive progression of life instead of something to be feared and fought against. Yeah, she wasn't exactly a kick-ass adventurer, but that wasn't her role in the story. What Wendy represented was growth, responsibility, change and maturity, the positive aspects of growing up, which ultimately made her the pivotal character in the entire narrative. But why have that kind of subtle, thought-provoking storytelling when we can turn her into the new and improved Wendy who fights men twice her size just as easily as 10-year-old boys, saves the day, rescues herself, bitch slaps Peter, and whose only character arc is having to realise her own potential? It's the same trite, tedious, simplistic line of superficial female empowerment that gave us planks of wood like Rey Palpatine.
Rey Skywalker.
Palpatine. A character that's got all of Luke Skywalker's strengths and none of his weaknesses.
I don't know, I just had something. Damn it. I had a funny joke, but it popped into the ether. It popped into the ether and then went away just as quickly as it came before I could grab it.
who's better than him at everything, so naturally you have to like her more than you like him. Why don't you like
With
her?
no
Why are you
training.
questioning me? Why don't you just do what I tell you to do? Then there's Tinkerbell, who actually had a pretty complex and tense relationship with Peter and Wendy in the original story. In fact, she fucking hated Wendy so much that she ended up betraying her to Captain Hook. But of course, we're not allowed to show negative emotions like jealousy and insecurity intruding on the flawless, supportive harmony of female relationships now, because as anyone who went through high school knows, adolescent girls are famous for their ability to get along and support each other.
Mean Girls.
The result is a Tinkerbell with absolutely no personality,
I swear
goals,
she's got
or
lip
character arc of
injections.
her own. She's just kind of there, ready to supply
The whole movie, when they kept showing Tinkerbell's face, I was like, that girl's got lip injections. There's no way there's no way those are natural.
fairy dust when the plot needs some magic shit to happen. Tiger Lily is now a kick-ass girl boss who takes charge of the diverse lost individuals, saves the day on multiple occasions, and generally dominates any situation she's in. She always knows exactly what to do. She's brave, confident, assertive, and commanding, and basically acts exactly like every other generic strong female character in every other production for the past 10 years. For a company that's so big on diversity, they really don't reflect that in the personalities of their characters. And then there's Peter, who's now brooding, sullen, emotionally fragile, stricken with self-doubt and guilt, and easily dominated by the girls around him. The Peter from the animated movie was dangerous, unpredictable, and self-absorbed, but he was also charismatic, wily, adventurous, and intelligent, as quick with an insult as he was with a blade. He represented every aspect of boyish, adolescent energy turned up to 11, with all of the good and the bad that came with it. But this version of Peter is such an irritating, malicious shithead that I actually found myself rooting for Captain Hook after a while. And it doesn't help that he's played by an actor with all the presence, grit, and charisma of a 10-year-old girl. In fact, the only actor that delivers a half—
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I did not want to say it, but but he said it, so I'm gonna say it. Yeah, the whole movie, I was like, dude, this is a fruity Mowgli. This is a fruity Mowgli. And it just ruined it. It just completely ruined Peter Pan.
Decent performance in this movie is Jude Law as Captain Hook, but even then he's been absolutely eviscerated by the script. The original Hook was a larger-than-life character. He was grandiose and theatrical, he dominated the screen, and he absolutely relished playing the role of the evil pirate captain. He represented all of the negative aspects of adulthood. He was domineering, coarse, brutal, frightening, and merciless. But just like the villains of so many other Disney remakes, there's been this weird attempt to reframe him as a tragically misunderstood anti-hero, a lost boy who strayed from Neverland to find his mother
I didn't
and got
mind that
rejected by
aspect
Peter when
of
he
it.
tried to come home. But instead of making Hook sympathetic, it just makes Peter look like even more of an arsehole. And instead of giving us a lively, devious, and colourful antagonist, we're left with a wet rag of a character with no
Right
clear
there.
purpose
That
in
was the
story.
moment. That was the moment the movie was winning me over, and then they immediately had to go into the girl power mode and have this super cringe line that was followed by three times her saving the day. It was like, come on now.
And I guess that's what really cuts to the heart of my criticism of this movie. Strip away all the tedious updates for modern audiences and the bullshit identity politics, and the movie still wouldn't be good anyway, because its biggest problem is that it's so fucking boring. It adds nothing of value to the original story, does nothing to improve on the animated classic.
Yes,
and if anything,
exactly. That's exactly how I felt watching the entire time. I was like, bro, why did they even make this? Like they're just all these set pieces that were in the last one they made, the 2003, not Disney didn't make it, but the 2003 one. You haven't seen that one, go watch that one. That was really good. Jeremy Sumpter was a great Peter Pan, and Draco Malfoy's father, I forget his name. I forget the actor's name, but the dude who plays Draco Malfoy's father in all the Harry Potter films, it plays Hook, and he plays a really good Hook. And he also plays the Darling kid's dad, which was another aspect. That was another. They didn't do it in this movie, which is really weird because it was an aspect that they did in the original animated film. Was they made Wait, no. No, that's incorrect. But I don't know why they hadn't played both characters. They hadn't played both Hook and Wendy's Darling's dad. But anyways, that was a good movie. If you haven't seen that, go watch that one. It's 20 years older than this movie and trumps it in every way, in every facet.
Actually tarnishes its legacy just by existing. The only thing it does add to is the rapidly growing list of shitty Disney remakes that deserve to be consigned to the ash heap of history and forgotten as quickly as possible. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Okay. Alrighty. Going away now. Okay, well, that was just a long video. We're on 40 minutes. I did not intend this video to go this long. But anyways, appreciate you guys for watching this. I'm going to wrap it up now because really this really long video. Appreciate you guys for watching this video and all that stuff. Please like, subscribe, all that, because I need most of my viewers to become subscribers. Watch time versus not so. Most of my watchers are not yet subscribed, so please subscribe. Anyways, I appreciate that. There's gonna be another video popping up right there if this 40-minute long video wasn't enough for you. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.